Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Neenah Common Council meeting for Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. We'll start with the roll call. The clerk will read the roll, and please answer as your name is called. Also indicate your presence on your roll call device.
Alderperson Boyette.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lundrum.
Here.
Steiner.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Germs.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
And Borchert.
Here.
Thank you. Alderman Stevenson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States, to the Republic of the nation.
First item on the agenda are proclamations. The first proclamation is for National Diaper Need Awareness Week. I'll read that proclamation. National Diaper Need Awareness Week is September 18th through September 24th. Whereas diaper need, the condition of not being able to afford a sufficient supply of clean diapers to keep babies and toddlers clean, dry, and healthy, can adversely affect the health and well-being of children and their families. And whereas national surveys and research studies report that nearly 1 in 2 families struggle with diaper need, and 48% of families delay changing a diaper to extend the available supply. And whereas a daily or weekly supply of diapers is generally an eligibility requirement for babies and toddlers to participate in child care programs and quality early education programs that enable children to thrive and parents to work. And whereas many parents are struggling with diaper need and they report missing an average of 5 days of work each month due to an insufficient supply of diapers. And whereas without enough diapers, babies and toddlers risk infections and health problems that may require medical attention, resulting in medical costs. And parents may be prevented from accessing childcare needed to go to work or school, thereby destabilizing the family's economic prospects and well-being. And whereas the people of Neenah recognize that diaper need is a public health issue and addressing diaper need can lead to economic opportunity for the state's families and communities and improved health for children, thus ensuring all children and families have access to the basic necessities required to thrive and reach their full potential. And whereas Neenah is proud to be home to trusted community-based organizations, including the Kimberly-Clark Diaper Bank, a program of United Way Fox Cities and Eastern Wisconsin Diaper Bank, a program of Jake's Network of Hope that recognize the importance of diapers in ensuring health and providing economic stability for families and thus distribute diapers to families through various channels. And whereas through their important work of addressing diaper need, diaper banks play a critical role in supporting families, improving infant health and well-being, and advancing our local and state economic growth. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jane Lang, hereby proclaim the week of September 18th through September 24th as National Diaper Need Awareness Week in the City of Neenah. And I thank the aforementioned diaper banks, their staff, volunteers, and city donors for their courageous service during crisis, and encourage the citizens of Neenah to donate generously to diaper banks, diaper drives, and support those organizations that collect and distribute diapers to families struggling with diaper need, so that all of Neenah's children and families can thrive and reach their full potential. Signed and sealed this 20th day of September, 2023. The second proclamation is on National Arts and Humanities Month, that is in October, and we will be postponing that proclamation until October 18th, as it also relates to Bergstrom Mahler Museum. The next item on the agenda, introduction confirmation of mayor's appointments. There are none. The next item is the approval of the council proceedings from September 6, 2023, and the approval of the committee of the whole minutes of September 6, 2023. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of approval of those minutes and proceedings? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is the opportunity for anyone from the public who would like to speak to City Council to come before us and speak on any topic that is of interest to them, that they feel is of interest to us. We ask that any speaker give their name and residential address, and you're allowed to speak for 5 minutes on any topic. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during the public forum?
Hi, Tamara Haas, 301 East Wisconsin Avenue, Neenah. Just want to say Neenah got a glorious day for the marathon last Sunday. It was wonderful to once again have the finish in the heart of Neenah, and we were very lucky and blessed to have a great day for all of the runners that came by. Somewhat disappointing that Neenah chose to greet the visitors to our community with construction or rough roads, i.e. Doty Street, and it's sitting there with a rough road sign on it for I don't know how many countless months now, and to not be able to just patch that so that it is decent for the travelers that we had in our area, as well as the construction for the pedestrian crosswalk. You know, and I guess the unfortunate timing of having that occur and not be complete when you know that there's a big event coming to town. It was living on that corner, watching the people coming through there and the frustration of the drivers trying to get through that area. You know, you guys didn't see it, but I see it all the time, and I see it especially on those big event days. And then, you know, I know that that whole issue is voted and settled, and 2 of you did vote against that crosswalk going in, and I'll tell you that I appreciate it, and there are members of the community that appreciate that no vote for that. It seems in excess. There's a crosswalk at the intersection, and there's a crosswalk at Shattuck, and to put in yet another crosswalk in there for people who are lazy to go to one of the other areas to cross the road and spend the money for it seems like, you know, a little bit frivolous. But that being said, the support of the community for the marathon was greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum? Seeing no one, I will close the public forum. Is there anyone who would like to make any comments or have any concerns regarding the public forum? Sorry, my monitor is not working. Yeah. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Kaiser, since this is your forte, could you just explain a little bit about what goes into fixing Doty and what the delay has been for that? I know a lot of us think, oh, there's a hole in the road, you should just be able to patch it. But I'm sure there's more to it than that, and I'm just asking you because this is kind of your deal.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that go into it. One is availability of materials, and the other is availability of manpower to take care of things. In this case, we also had a situation that wasn't particularly stable. And it was trying to find the right mix of repair that was not going to be money wasted in the end, because that street is on our request list for next year. So it's kind of scaling the repair to an appropriate level so that we can get traffic through it, but we haven't overspent on it for material that's going to be coming out kind of in the near future. So they were able to get patch in there earlier this week. That's all open now. And I guess that's what I have. Anything else that you want me to follow on?
No, I think that's good. Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate it.
Is there anyone else? Questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, the consent agenda. This is for approval of temporary Class B wine license to Future Neenah for their wine walk to be held on September 30th, 2023 from noon to 4. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of passage and approval of that license? Seeing no objection, that is passed. Next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees, the regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of September 12th. Alderman Lendrum.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out for the regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of September 12th, 2023. Minutes can be found on the city website. We have 3 items tonight. Item number 1, committee recommends council approve the purchase of 24 XCal DT-C1 Type 3 ICW ballistic plates. Those go right in the chest vest, bulletproof vest holder. That's what these are. From Stryker's Police Supply at the cost of $8,210 to be funded with 2023 capital equipment dollars from account 011-2176-743-8133, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lendrum, seconded by Alderman Borchert. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 2, committee recommends council approve the 2024 Winnebago County 911 Emergency System Joint Powers Agreement, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lendrum, seconded by Alderman Weber. Is there any discussion on this item? Any questions? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 9-0.
And the third and last item, committee recommends council approve Resolution 2023-23, relocation order for the southbound right turn only lane on South Commercial Street at the intersection of Winneconne Avenue, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lendrum, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Borchert.
I just wanted to clarify, Alderman Steiner had asked a question whether or not a roundabout considered for this. This was taken up by Public Safety Committee a while back, and we had asked what had, or if there was a thought about a roundabout there, what it would look like, what was the cost, is there ever a possibility or a plan that that might happen? And so just to make clarification, we had requested a scope and understanding of what a roundabout would run, costs associated and what, and there was a lot of discussion, and I was not in favor of this at first, but when there's discussion about what it would alleviate and what would help, how much difference a roundabout would make in that alleviation of traffic, made sense. But I just wanted to make sure that when, sometimes it feels like it, and I don't want to make sure that I don't come across like that, but I just don't want to spend because we have the money. I just want to make sure that we are making practical decisions, not that all of a sudden in 3 years, we're gonna be like, well, let's put a roundabout there. So there was, I think, a robust discussion. There is still going to be some discussion about what's going to happen at church, and I think there's some concern that that might create some problems, but a lot of times, just wanted to let for some clarification. It's the reason why there was a lot of conversation.
Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to point out that Traffic Engineer Merton is here. So if anybody has any specific questions, and he did send a follow-up email this afternoon.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. James, I have a question. So we're putting in another lane for turning. Is that correct? And instead, I'm just curious, instead of, like, there's 2 lanes there now. And I know why there's discussion, because I drive it, I get it. But I guess I'm curious why we don't make one the straight lane and one the turn lane by just changing up some paint. It should be a lot cheaper. So I wasn't in the meeting, and I'm just curious.
Yeah, no problem. The reason why that's the case, well, there's actually a multitude of reasons, but with trying to keep things short, with what you're talking about, if we made, you would have in that instance, you would have a through left lane and then a right turn only lane. And when you have a through left lane, although the left turn movement there is very little, the chance every time that happens, because now you're forcing everybody who's going straight through south into one lane. If you have one person who's turning left, say to go to Walgreens or Dairy Queen, in those instances, or wherever else, but I think that's pretty common what you would see if someone is turning left onto East Winneconne Avenue, then you can generate a backup scenario. So we would need 3 lanes, which is where the right turn lane comes into play.
Excuse me, could we not maneuver, and I don't know, because measurements and whatever, could we not maneuver, I don't know what the technical name for it is, but a suicide lane? The turn lanes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, two-way left turn lane,
Okay,
yes.
sure. We call them suicide lanes, but.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't. So part of this project, or where this project kind of stemmed from in the first place, is because we're looking at reconstructing South Commercial Street south of this intersection, in which case we would be having something of that nature there. But once you approach this particular intersection, because of the nature of the traffic that goes through there, and kind of the imbalanced volumes, we have to have specialized lanes, if you will, or a certain amount of lanes for particular movements. And because of that, and when you math it all out through modeling, which we had hired a firm to look at that for us, if you were to do something like that, you can't really do that through this intersection. It wouldn't work out. You have to have, in this case, if we were to do something different, you need effectively 3 lanes if we're going to dedicate a right turn lane.
We don't have that space there, so.
No, so as part of this design that we've kind of settled on for this project, there's effectively 2 lanes northbound as well, and we will be consuming a little bit of one of those lanes northbound to save on space, given that it's tight there. But even with that, you still need a little extra width to account for that right turn lane. And because we're throwing in another lane, when you do that, it lengthens the crosswalk. And if you lengthen the crosswalk, then we have more crosswalk time that you have to account for, which affects how the signals can operate and how long each direction can be. It's kind of one thing stacks on another. So in the analysis that we did, this is really the most bang for your buck, lowest cost option that we can do that addresses the concerns that we're trying to address.
I understand that. Thank you very much. That's perfect because you really researched it, and I think having the folks at home know and understand that, you did, in fact, look at all these other questions, and this is the best out of all of the options. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alderman Steiner.
Thank you. I'm just interested in, to what extent do we feel the right-hand turn lane will reduce the congestion overall? I know there's estimates involved and there's not an exact, but just interested in your perspective on that.
Yeah, certainly modeling is not perfect, but I'll just put it this way. Right now, if you look at just the southbound movement, it's about 50% of the traffic that's coming from Commercial Street, let's say from downtown, through that intersection. 50% of that traffic heading south is making that right turn movement. So similarly, kind of to why we would need a left turn lane, the right turn lane currently, if you observe it, particularly during peak periods of the day, that there's a natural incentive for everybody to want to be in that right lane, whether they're going straight or whether they're turning right. And all it takes when you have a red light is for one person who wants to go straight, and then anybody who could otherwise turn right during a red light phase, they can no longer make that movement and thereby clear out the intersection a little bit. So I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of what I was.
No, that's how. So it's a pretty significant difference from its current state.
Yeah, I believe it to be. It will be a noticeable difference. It will be a quality of life improvement for anyone who travels that daily, for sure.
Thank you.
Alderman Weber.
James, one follow-on question. Thanks for sending the additional information. The cost for acquiring the property, is that part of the 183 or is that a separate cost?
No, the 183 is just strictly a construction cost. I mean, obviously, there's the whole relocation order. The purpose of what's being decided today is to say, yep, we can begin negotiations with the property owner. So it's kind of, I mean, we do have estimates as to.
Do you have an estimate? Yeah, like about a range?
Let me hold up here.
Would that be appropriate for us to be talking about at this point? Maybe not, if we're not entered into negotiations yet?
Okay. That's fair. I'm just curious as to how that gets paid for too. So that's why I'm asking.
In terms of.
Understood.
Yep.
If I could, in terms of paying for it, we do have a budget item, I believe, for this year, a capital expense in which will, I believe, or partially fund at least the. It certainly is done for the real estate work, and I think it also incorporated the real estate costs. I guess I'd have to rely on Jerry to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure we have an allotment there that kind of went along with an original estimate as to what that, what the takings would be.
Okay, thanks.
Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Engineer Merton and Director Kaiser. This came back twice to Public Services and Safety, and we had a spirited discussion both times. His detailed analysis was very clear that this will be a very positive thing for all of us. We probably all use that right turn lane. So I'm really looking forward to the flow from that right turn only lane. And it'll be interesting to see how people are not going to be stuck there now if somebody wants to go straight. So I appreciate all the detailed analysis on this.
Alderman Skirms.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. The concern or potential issue of Church is southbound left turn being held up by volume. Anyone?
That was our.
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but certainly but obviously recognizing the proximity of Commercial Street to Church Street, that those intersections are pretty close, and obviously when you construct a right turn lane, you're making it even closer, and then you change a little bit of the dynamic in terms of traffic that someone on Church Street heading south going either direction really, that they're going to encounter. So it is undoubtedly going to make it more difficult for somebody, I would say, well, you could say any movements to and from that intersection, from Church and Winneconne. Whether it's Winneconne turning onto Church or Church turning onto Winneconne in either direction.
I think that'll be a learning curve because it's a challenge today due to the rate of speed people come off of commercial. So, all right, that's what I thought it was, but I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
Alderman Borchert.
Thank you, Mayor. John, the other, Alderman Skirms, the other concern is that the flow downtown as we start to develop west of the Globe and down, what's the access over there. And we wanted to make sure that flow, because that left turn off of Church presents difficulty. Down Winneconne, left out prohibited. And then the other concern I had was relegation of that property. Much of the property, what is it? And I'm still concerned about that. But someone would put, because of flow of traffic on Winneconne heading south, that right turn lane, accessing that property. So those were just some of the questions we had or concerns.
But ingress is in and out of Church, not Winneconne, correct, for that parcel?
I think there is an in on.
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Yep.
Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. James, in your memo, bullet point number 3, in committee, we were told that there was a land reservation that was filed and on file at the courthouse regarding the reservation of the right turn lane. I don't see reference to that. All I see there is that the current and previous owners were made aware of a lane reservation. Is there any reservation that's on file at Winnebago County regarding that property?
So the official street map, which obviously covers a lot more area than just this one property, is a recorded document. So that is there. Anytime we modify that map, those changes are recorded as well. But it's not assigned to a specific parcel. So if you, as an example, when you do title work on a property, easements will show up. A reservation most likely will not, because it's just handled different.
Yeah. So, being a relatively experienced older person, when someone tells me that there's something on file for this property, I take them at their word, and that there's something connected to this parcel. And that's why I asked that we do a confirmation as to where I would find that on the title or the deed. And it's not there, so I feel a little misled on that in committee. And I'm not holding anyone to blame, but we got to make sure when we share information with the council that we share it clearly and maybe explain it to people that may be perceiving it as something more than it was. I'm going to vote against this, and I voted against it in committee, not because I disagree with the need for a right turn lane. And this right turn lane came up, quite honestly, I think staff will agree with it, because of the commercial street reconstruction project. We saw an opportunity to improve that. I think so. There is going to be benefits to people that turn right, and I'm one of those people. I turn right on that anytime I come back from the Y, head to my house. I typically come that way, and it's not comfortable, or it's not uncomfortable, and then sometimes you got to wait a cycle or two. But I'm retired, so I got a lot of time. Now, people that work, they might have more value in that than I do. My bigger concern is the problems that are going to come up on Church Street. And we're looking at building a $15 million ramp downtown. And what are the ramifications of changes at that intersection to people who may be going downtown and using the ramp? I don't know, maybe none. But I think to make this decision now without fully understanding what's going to happen at church, we're solving a perceived problem of right turn lane, but I'm concerned more than anything that we're creating a problem in 2 or 3 years. It might even less. Could be a year. It might be 8 years. But I think we're gonna have to spend some money later on to solve whatever issues come up with Church Street if we intend to use it as a tunnel for downtown. And I would prefer to see that before I voted on this, because the 183,000 plus relocation costs plus engineering costs is going to be north of 200 and 250,000. I don't know the number, but I think that's a defendable, arguable number. And I would before we spend that kind of money, I want to make sure we had a real good grasp of what the long-term ramifications are going to be at that intersection. We're doing it now because we're doing South Commercial Street. Let's face it, and you can defend that position, and you can defend the fact that people turn right and they have to wait a cycle or two. But I'm more concerned about big picture dollars, and we're doing that without really vetting what the ramifications of this. And there's tools out there that we can we can look and see what this kind of change would do. So I'm done. I'll vote no.
Are there any other comments? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask that you cast your votes on your voting device. That motion passes 6-3.
And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda is the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of September 11th. Alderman Erickson.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Mayor. Only one item. The committee recommends council approve tax incremental district number 9 development agreement with Neenah Door Property LLC to assist with the construction of a new manufacturing facility at 2455 Schultz Drive, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Skirms. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda is reports of special committees and liaisons. The regular Plan Commission meeting of September 12th, there was no report. That meeting was canceled. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Public Works meeting of September 13th. Vice Chairman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor Lang. The minutes from this meeting can be found on the city website. There's only one informational item this evening. Board approved pay request 1 for contract 1-23W West Cecil Street Water Tower repainting to Fedwa Incorporated in the amount of $196,650. That ends my report.
Thank you for your report. Reports on neighborhood groups. The Business Improvement District Board, Alderman Skirms.
Thank you, Mayor. The board met yesterday. Minutes are already posted on the city website. We were fortunate to have Officer Joe from PD come and chat with us, which was informative, helpful, cleared up some questions. Some of the issues that he brought up were the parking ramp, noise nuisance, scooters, bikes, skateboards are not permitted in there. So if you see those things going on in there, feel free to call PD. Suspicious customers, that's been an issue with some occasions downtown. He encouraged owners to call 911 for that. Clarification for the crosswalks, particularly downtown. Cars are required to stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk. They're not required to stop if you're standing on the curb near the crosswalk. And it's like, Oh. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because if I'm standing on the corner reading the paper and not paying attention, they shouldn't have to stop. But on the other hand, if I've got a foot in the street, yes, they should stop. So that was clarifying. What else? Someone asked about car theft or thefts from items in cars, and he said the city doesn't have much of a problem with people breaking into vehicles. It's unlocked vehicles that people go in and take whatever they can find. So recommendation was to lock up their car. Final issue that taught me something I didn't know. And we see this all the time. I'm headed westbound. There's a really sweet parking space on the south side, so I'm going to do this and park over there, which is legal if, in the process, you don't back up traffic behind you, nor interrupt traffic coming at you, and if you can do it in one motion and hit the parking spot. If you're too big or can't make the turn and you have to back up, that becomes an illegal Y-turn and you can't do that. So I thought that was a no-no all along, and apparently you can do it on certain circumstances. Enough about that. Marketplace parking lot, final coat of asphalt should be Thursday or Friday, right, Director Kaiser? Woo-hoo! Striping next week. Co-op meeting, which is future Neenah bid in the city, is scheduled for October 17th. And a couple of events coming up soon. Lion's Tales Oktoberfest is this weekend, and the Wine Walk is next weekend, September 30th. And just an announcement for future Neenah, they are holding a first ever fundraiser specifically for future Neenah. The tickets for that are going on sale next Monday. There are only 150 of them available. And if you've heard of or been to the Farm to Table, it's like that, only much nicer and in a secret yet to be announced location. So if you want a ticket, probably should grab it early Monday morning. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. The Library Board, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Public Library Board met this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And there are a couple of things I'd like to highlight. The first is that the physical checkout is up 2% from last year. Electronic checkouts are up 14% from last year. And volunteers, there is an 8% increase over last year. So that's all good news, going in the right direction. And for those of you who are interested in speed puzzling, because I always like to report on that, there is an electronic sign up on October 15th for the next speed puzzling tournament. So there is a lot going on at the library. Please visit the Neenah Public Library website for more information. And remember to check out some books. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. The Neenah Arts Council, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council met on September 13th. Two items I'd like to highlight. The first is the Neenah Arts Council will have an art activity at the Neenah Farmers Market on October 14th. So if you have young children or families that would be interested, please bring them to the Neenah Arts Council booth, and that is usually under the Shattuck Pavilion. And then the other item is we have formed a subcommittee to work on the Neenah Public Library, Neenah Arts Council photo contest for next year to fine-tune that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. The Landmarks Commission, Alderman Weber.
Thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission met on September 13th. The minutes will be posted on the city website. One item of note was the final planning for the canoe trip that occurred this past weekend during the powwow. Folks that were there attended, had great weather. There's over 80 kids and adults served, and a lot of good feedback and requests for it again next year. So that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Were there any petitions?
Petitions.
Are there any council directives? Seeing none. Wait, Alderman Boyette.
Sorry, my machine wasn't working.
I try to look too. Sometimes I'm looking.
I recently came across one of our ordinances that I feel needs to be revised, and I'm not sure of what committee that would go to or how we would go about doing that, but I would like to make that council directive.
We need a motion and a second on that, and then it would be voted on at the next council meeting.
Okay. So then I would make that motion.
I guess we need,
You want to know what
we
ordinance?
need to know what ordinance we're talking about.
Okay,
and-
yeah.
So it has to do with our pet licensing, and it would be in regards to the exemption we have listed for service animals. I understand that we've adopted what the state has, but according to the ADA, state and federal, it's discrimination, and I feel like we need to fix that before we get into something that we.
That has recently been researched by my office, and I disagree with your analysis or characterization of it being discriminatory. We've actually looked at it from a federal and state law perspective, and our current ordinance in that regard does not violate either federal or state law. But if the council wants us to look at it upon this directive, we're certainly happy to do so.
Well, do you happen to know offhand when that state was redone, what do you want to call it, the word I'm looking?
Adopted?
Yes.
I don't know offhand, no.
Because I was researching it today, and I believe it was like in the 80s, 1980s. I think it was that far back. And of course, a lot has evolved since then. And I'm not talking about like ESA dogs, emotional support dogs, or emotional support lizards, or whatever else, emotional support. I'm talking actual service animal. Like for instance, there are some dogs that can sense somebody's low blood sugar, and I'm quite certain that wasn't something that was popular in the 80s. There are dogs that can detect and are trained for seizures, for epilepsy, and that's not listed in here as well. So those are the things that I'm talking about as far as I feel, I understand what you're saying, but as somebody that has a family member that has some of those issues, I feel that that is discriminatory against their disability. And I don't want that to become an issue for the city. And so I understand that the state statute reads as what we have adopted as the city, but I feel like we should revamp that and either not list the disabilities or the services of the disabilities that the animals can do, and simply go off of the definition of what a service animal is, rather than listing all the potential disabilities that a service animal can be. Because currently we have 3, and I feel like people that are diabetic or people that have seizures are being discriminated against because of their disability doesn't fit what the state has. And again, it's an old one, so I just feel like maybe Neenah needs to be
Right. So I guess I'm
proactive.
not exactly following, but I'm wondering, are you saying that licensing a dog who's a service animal is a discriminatory practice if it's required that a service animal be licensed as well?
No, what's discriminatory about it is it lists 3 separate animals that are exempt.
And you think more animals
I know there are
should be
more
listed
yeah.
as exempt?
Yep, I know there are more service animals out there that should be allowed to be exempt. And I'm not talking ESA dogs, I'm talking the seizure dogs, the diabetic dogs, any other disabled name that the ADA follows. Because in their definition, it states an ADA service animal is an animal that is trained or in training for a specific disability. And I think if we adopted that as the definition rather than listing out the 3 that the state currently has, would make it safer for us in a potential discriminatory situation.
Okay, so
like right now,
in
we have a
essence-
seeing eye dog, we have a hearing dog, and we have a physical, thank you, mobility dog. And those are the only 3 that are listed. But
As
the
being-
ADA recognizes
as
others.
being exempt
Yes.
from the pet licensing or dog licensing fee
Correct.
of $13.
Correct. Because I think that would be an easier and better way for us to go, rather than who knows how big of a lawsuit we could get into. And I, for one, don't want to be part of something that suggests that we are being discriminatory. I don't want people to have that feeling or that thought, because I have a seizure dog and you know, I have to pay for my license, where if I was blind, I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So you just want to, I'm trying to be proactive with our ordinance. I feel like it's outdated, and I think, I don't know the legal aspects of it, but I think if we could be proactive in changing that, we could be the leader. And again, I wouldn't stop with us. I would go to the state as well and ask them to maybe update it, because it is like 1985 or something like that. It's been a while. It's been a significant while.
Okay, I think we have a better understanding of it now from your explanation.
Okay.
So we have a motion from Alderman Boyette. Is there a second for that council directive?
A second.
There's a second from Alderman Stevenson. Okay, so there's no vote on this until the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? Alderman Steiner.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to extend my appreciation to Director Kaiser and Director Mock. There were recently kind of a cul-de-sac of neighbors that had an issue, and they were willing to sit down and talk through their concerns. And I thought Director Kaiser and Director Mock were very clear and professional in terms of explaining the resource restraints that the city has, the challenges of scheduling, the thoughtfulness that goes into prioritizing, to the point where they agreed that their initial request was probably too much of a challenge, but we came to a reasonable accommodation, and I received some appreciative texts and emails, and I want to thank you for that, just for being very responsive to citizens, and they really felt respected throughout that process. So thank you for that.
Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just wondering if you could please give us an update on the hiring process for the 2 positions that are in your area.
Sure. Actually, we did hire a new deputy clerk, and she started on Monday.
Okay.
And I found out late this afternoon that the new PR communications position, admin for me, accepted the position that we offered as well.
Good.
Hopefully, we will have that person in place shortly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So come in and say hi to the new people. Is there any additional new business?
I have one thing, Mary. Just quickly, I left at your desk tonight a brochure on the school for seniors. That's happening on next Friday, a week from this Friday. Carol has told me that they have room for 80 participants. They're up to 65. So if you have anyone that you know of that might be interested, perhaps a retired senior, they may want to consider going. So, and there are more pamphlets or flyers at the back table if you want to take any with you.
I'm teaching the class.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any additional new business? Seeing none, is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now going to take a brief break and then go into closed session.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.